this program and not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. The beach access policy, wading out the problems. And in second watch, does President Trump flip-flop or negotiate? Questioning his modus operandi. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on the controversy over public access to our beaches? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, here's our quote.
All right, good morning, good morning. Today's I quote says, to be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you. Often attributed to C.S. Lewis.
And we will forgive the writer of this I quote who may not recall if it was C.S. Lewis.
Right.
To whom it should be attributed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking the question.
Couldn't tell you anybody me say.
Very interesting I quote. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
This Father's Day, let your word speak love. Love 101 FM invites you to be part of Pages for My Father, a celebration of the quiet strength, faith, and presence of our dads. Simply send us a letter 100 words or less about your father in a WhatsApp message or a 1-minute voice note. We may read or play it on air as we honor fathers across Jamaica. Submit now to our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125 as we celebrate fathers with love. Be sure to put Pages for My Father as the heading so we can easily identify. Then listen for the feature during Love in the Morning, Morning Express, and Alive. Then on Father's Day, Sunday, June 15, throughout the day, and see if yours made the cut. Pages for My Father. Let's celebrate the great men in our lives. We're doing it on the family station. Love 101.
Don't give up on your hopes and your dreams is what he tells us. To be grateful and kind is what he's shown us. Like you.
This Father's Day, Love 101 invites you to something special. Pages for My Father, a simple, sacred celebration for dads. Join us for brunch at Pages in the Garden inside Hope Gardens this Sunday, June 15 from 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's a day of love, music, and letters as we honor the strength, faith, and presence of our fathers. And here's your chance to be a part of it. Write a short letter, 100 words or less, to or about your dad. Send it by WhatsApp to 876-997-3125 as a message or voice note titled Pages for My Father, and listen for it to be shared on Love 101. If it touches the heart, you could win brunch for two. That's Pages for My Father inside Hope Gardens from Love 101 FM, the family station, in partnership with Pages in the Garden.
You ever teach me right, so no, you never lead me wrong.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. Now, it is indicated that in recent years there are less beaches for use by the general public. After much clamoring, however, there is now a beach access policy under review, and here to assist us to understand the nature of this review and what is to come in terms of going forward, we have none other than Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Minister Matthew Samuda. Minister Samuda, good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Well, first of all, sir, thank you for the greeting, and we would like you to understand where we are now. In fact, maybe you could even take us back further in terms of where we're coming from. Where are we coming from in terms of beach access? We know that there is the Beach Control Act, and there has been much hue and cry about public, the access of the public to beaches. Where are we coming from and where are we headed? If you could give us that sort of quick introduction, sir.
So, firstly, the public needs to know that when I find the discussion sometimes rather strange because there are hundreds of beach access points right across the coastline of Jamaica. There are some well-known beaches that have facilitated all-inclusive hotel development, which has triggered a discussion that sometimes dispenses with the facts that majority of Jamaica's beaches are still accessible to the public for free. Beach access points are certainly right across the south coast. You don't have no challenges, and I'd be happy to provide the map even on the north coast points that exist. But I think that's a point that needs to be known. The the other point that needs to be contemplated is where we're coming from and how did we get to a point where this is a point of great discourse.
Yes.
In the 90s, Jamaica became the murder capital of the world and also went into a particular economic slump. One of the ways that was used to try and bring about, economic growth was heavy focus on the attracting investment of a particular scale for large-scale hotels. Now, when you looked at the economic activity, when you looked at what was taking place by way of tourist harassment at the time, when you looked at what was happening, certainly on the security side, your travel advisors, etc., these self-contained facilities were the investment that the government of the day were able to attract.
Minister, if you ask to pause for a moment, when you say self-contained facilities, you mean all-inclusive hotels?
Yes, those hotels, large, all-inclusive scale hotels.
Yes, sir. Continue.
So we developed a product, or rather grew our tourism product by attracting more and more of these investments as we were in deep trouble with unemployment numbers, and these were the investors that I think were willing to come during that period. And because of the security concerns, they were allowed to build and develop in a very self-contained manner. Many of them are like mini townships with what they provide. So they provide security for a particular area. They manage all the inflows and outflows of people, and it created the room for the large-scale travel agencies prior to the explosion of travel being booked online to have the comfort to send, tourists at scale to Jamaica. So that's generally how we got here. Yeah. Now, obviously, when people look for development opportunities, they're not going to look at the worst beach or the worst area of coastline or the most expensive area of coastline to develop. Now, what that has brought us to is a situation, as the public has rightfully looked at and said, well, some of our nicest beaches have been given up for commercial activity.
Yeah.
And that rightfully has triggered some concern. But I want to be very clear that it's not a concern that has fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Now, whereas there will be some continued development of that type or that part of the tourism product, the government has also committed to creating the policy framework and regulatory environment that allows for guaranteed beach access, but tangibly investing to achieve same. One of the best examples of our actual investment that leads to beach access, that leads to quality beach access, is the Harmony Cove Beach Park in St. James. It is the intention of the government to ensure that we achieve at least one such beach park in every parish in Jamaica. That's the first intention. Now, these beach parks are not cheap. The cost of the coastal engineering to protect the beaches, to put in the groins, the maintenance costs are very expensive. But we have committed to doing at least one per parish.
The Minister, I know that I'm sort of. I just want to get some clarity. When you speak of the beach park, could you flesh us out a little bit more for us? Beach park.
Well, a beach park is, I think Harmony Beach Park would be the best example of same. So for anyone who's, living in St. James, they'll be very familiar with it. And anyone who traverses that area will be very familiar with it. It's a lovely beach that has all the amenities, all the lounge facilities, all the bathroom facilities that you need. It does have food and beverage offerings on the beach. It's free. It has walking trails. It has sports space for activity. It's a beach park. It has all the amenities of a regular park, but also has a beach component.
It's operated by the government through an
It is operated by the UDC. In the same way the NHT operates the park in New Kingston. So different agencies are assigned different parks. Now, the government has already committed to doing Padgy Beach in St. Mary, to doing the Pryor Beach in St. Anne, to doing the Boston Beach in Portland. And in my sectoral presentation, I shared with the public the concept designs for the Negril Beach Park. You see, these areas and these parishes are known to have some of your best beaches in the country and in the Caribbean and in the world, right? We have said we have reserved areas to ensure that for some of the best beaches, we're not giving the Jamaican public the what left. For some of your best beaches, we're going to develop these sorts of beach parks that give people access, premium access for free to well-maintained, well-structured beach parks.
Yes, and it might also foster that sense or feeling of inclusivity, because I think that could have been a part of the challenge that many Jamaicans felt. They felt they were being excluded from some of the beaches.
There are two elements to the beach access discussion.
Yes.
And oftentimes they're merged with emotion. So it creates a convoluted discussion. The first is genuine access to your coastline.
Yeah.
Now, the foreshore of the beach, of every beach in Jamaica, is held by the Crown, meaning by the government of Jamaica, for all citizens. The foreshore of every beach is not owned by anyone.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Except the people of Jamaica through their government.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
However, there's issues accessing the foreshore for many people because of the nature of developments around these areas.
Yeah.
Now, that triggers the access, the genuine access discussion. But there's another layer to the discussion, which is the commercial access to your beaches. And that commercial access comes in a number of ways. The commercial access refers to those who ply their trade for fishing. Do they have access to launch their boats, get onto the sea, unload properly, clean their catch, etc.? So fishing beaches, one major issue. But then you have the other issue.
Minister, before we go to the next issue, we are upon a break already, never enough time on the morning watch. I'm going to ask you to just hold that thought for a second and elaborate on it some more on the other side of the break. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on Morning Watch.
Time is now 7:15.
The name you trust to be your friend, to be a partner by your side. For generations we have been the one you trust as your friend. Sagicor, building trust for generations, helping hopes and dreams to grow, building our nation. Sagicor's the name you know. Sagicor,
Sagicor, celebrating 55 years.
building trust for generations.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with grace.
The NHT invites pensioners who had a weekly income of $30,000 or less at the time of retirement to apply for smart energy grants of up to $1.5 million. With the NHT's Smart Energy Grant, pensioners can install solar panels at home and lower their electricity bill. To be considered for this grant, apply via the NHT website or at any NHT office from Friday, June 6 to Wednesday, June 11. For more information, visit the NHT website at nht.gov.jm or drop in at any NHT branch.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic is the beach access policy. Wading out the problems. Our guest is Minister Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Minister Samuda, you're about to go on to another issue in the discussion. Well, in terms of what you're outlining, please continue.
No, I was saying that we have to analyze the problem from genuine access for leisure, for visibility, for enjoyment of your natural assets of your country, which is just an access for enjoyment standpoint, and then there's a commercial access.
Yeah.
Now, the access for enjoyment is easily remedied. It's easily remedied by investment, not cheaply remedied, but easily remedied, with the development of beach parks within a few kilometers of each other right across your coastline. So as the economy becomes more buoyant and we're able to invest in the maintenance and development of these beach parks, you find yourself in a better position. So this year, the government is pursuing 4 in particular for major development through different sources of funding. A couple through the TEF, some through UDC, some through other agencies. So those were the 4 that I mentioned, which is the Negril Beach Park, the Paget Beach in St. Mary, and indeed Boston Beach in Portland, and of course Priory Beach in my own constituency in St. Anne. We'll also be upgrading the facilities of the Little Duns River space, but people have to understand that free beaches come with security requirements, they come with maintenance requirements, and in some cases they come with engineering requirements to put in the sort of coastal engineering to protect that area of the coastline and to make sure that all the beaches that we provide that sort of public access to are indeed held at a particular standard. So that's the access issue. Another way that we have committed to resolving the genuine access issue is pathways to the sea. I would have also shared pictures in my presentation of one such pathway that we insisted developers of a new hotel put in place. The area was well known to residents in close proximity. It was a well-used beach before. We have actually built pathways to the side of the hotels that create the access ways to the beach, and I can share with you pictures of those too, for you to share online and to share with your listeners who may have that interest. So we are saying that new hotel developments that infringe on beaches that were accessed by communities that have been used for decades will have these access pathways. Now, commercial access is a different matter now. Commercial access, depending on which industry you're in, is regulated by that particular, whichever regulatory body. So in the case of fisheries, it would be the Fisheries Authority. In the case of those who wish to apply their trade as vendors, it's usually the municipality, the municipal corporation of whichever parish they're in. Yeah. These pathways are not an immediate, guarantee of commercial access. So that's why I wanted to split out issues, because the issues are different.
And when you say commercial access, forgive me,
Because
do
there's a
you
pathway
mean?
to, so if someone has applied through the government's varying agencies and built a hotel or a restaurant or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and they're compliant with the tax laws of the country, they're compliant with the vending and the commercial licenses that they require from the parish council. Yes, yes, we will create access for people to visit upon the natural asset of the country, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll then provide dual licenses or triple licenses for other persons to commit to do commercial activity in the same space that someone else has paid to do their commercial activity. So there are two major types of commercial activities that are taking place on the beaches. The first is fisheries. So I'd like to take that. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has put a list, I can look back from it from Minister Green's presentation, of fishing beaches that it will upgrade.
Okay.
Now, this is a critical strategy to ensure that the fishing beaches that we have are at a particular standard. Boats are stacked in a particular way. They're not just scattered all across the coast. It provides dignity. It also provides protection for the assets of the fisher folk. There's adequate storage for their catch. In many cases, we're trying to put in solar so that they're able to do it. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, working with Port Authority and the UDC, will indeed build out certainly enough access points to the sea for our fisher folk.
Okay, so that's one type of commercial access. What's the other type?
The other type now is really those who ply trade, retail trade, whether it is through vending, through craft sales, etc.
Okay.
That is regulated by municipal corporations.
Okay.
In the same way, when the facilities of Love, I don't know if they're owned or rented, but they are in the possession of the operator of the station. You have complied with government regulation. You have your space to operate. Someone can't come and operate in your parking lot, as you'd understand. So those rules apply whether it is in a beach or it is in your parking lot.
Understood.
And that will be maintained. Okay. So I think that's where you have some tension, and that's where you have some, some misunderstandings. Because there are those who want the genuine access, which I believe we have a pathway through our new policy that we will table soon. We have a pathway to achieving that, which is through regulatory action, which is to insist on pathways to beaches that were accessible before, as well as through investment in public parks. We have a pathway to resolving the access to the natural assets of the country. I don't think that's going to be a discussion in 2030 with how we're approaching it.
I want to... Sorry, go ahead, Minister. I thought you were through.
The issue is, does that access to the natural asset immediately translate to commercial activity? And that's where you get the issues now of tourist harassment and security and those sorts of issues that come in, which is why we have to create enough public spaces where those who wish to ply their trade to the public for commercial reasons have adequate opportunity to do so, which is why the development of the public beaches and these parks that create commercial opportunities for indigenous investors, big or small, to operate restaurants, craft shops, you name it.
Understood, Minister. I recall several years ago, I was in another Caribbean island, and a bunch of us were walking on a beach, and we continued walking, and then we got to a point on the beach where it was obvious that we were walking on a beach in front of what appeared to be a very nice resort. It had an exclusive feel to it, and we saw persons on the beach and they were having a great time. But interestingly, no one stopped us from walking on the beach. We continued walking. At some point we left, and I don't think I would have ever been able to do that in Jamaica. I have had the experience of walking on a beach in Jamaica, and then you walk close to what appears to be a resort, and you see a fence that's going down into the seawater. Do you think we'd ever get to the stage in Jamaica, sir, based on this policy, or generally speaking, where all of our beaches, regardless of where they are, will be accessible to the public?
The nature of our geography, all of our beaches were never accessible to the public. So that's the first point that needs to also be understood. Jamaica's geography provides for many coves where they're landlocked beaches. So no, you won't have that based on
But
Jamaica's geography, based on how we've developed
the experience I
for
had
decades.
where the experience about a fence
But
going
the
into the
experience,
sea.
and I think the best example of that experience would be Negril.
Yeah.
Negril is the longest beach that would match the geography of many of our Caribbean neighbors, where you walk in front of hotels. I believe we will get there, but the way that we get there is continuing to drive down our murder rate, is continuing the economic expansion and employment of our citizens, so that a lot aren't fighting for the dollars of a few, because that's what creates the environment of harassment, which has been a problem. So let's have a frank discussion. Beach access is all right. All right, people deserve access to their beaches. The natural assets of the country belong to all citizens. That's one pocket. We agree there. There's no pushback. Our largest foreign exchange earner and one of the largest employers you have in the country is tourism, which requires safe environments without harassment for people to keep coming. That's what keeps the lights on in government buildings. That's what allows us to put money into healthcare, schools, etc. That's one of our big earners. So let's not, kill the goose that lays the golden egg in the discussion. But to your question, I believe we'll get there, but I believe we have to stay on the path of crime reduction, of economic expansion, and do development in a manner that, yes, creates access, but also creates the space for security and creates, a more harmonious environment between communities that are close by and hoteliers. But we also need to be frank. Right? One of the things that I've always found with Love FM, because you're a religious-based station, that you have the frank discussions around the societal ills that we have. We have to confront tourist harassment. We have to confront our crime problems. Whichever Caribbean island you mentioned, I would hazard a guess, they have never had the sort of crime problems or the tourist harassment issues that we have had in Jamaica. So it has to be juxtaposed, the conversation to be fair. If we're going to have an honest discussion as a society around how we're going to deal with these issues also. Because I've had that experience that you've mentioned.
Yes.
Because if you don't have on the band related to that particular hotel, there are security concerns. No, it hasn't always been handled well, which is why we are where we are, and we're bringing this policy to make it very clear to all stakeholders where their commercial rights start and stop, right? So that we protect our citizens. But simultaneously, in protecting our citizens' rights, we need to call on our citizens to protect an industry that feeds hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans.
Minister, never enough time on the morning watch. In terms of the beach access policy, where do we go from here, and when will implementation?
There are two matters in court that we expect rulings on soon.
Yeah.
I think putting a policy out that has implications, or rather that could be affected by court rulings, wouldn't be in anyone's interest. The policy is finished. It's under review. The AG has reviewed it. We have consulted with thousands of Jamaicans, and all of your big groupings have been invited. This policy has been worked on for the better part of the last 5 years. Yeah. Everyone has had their say. It's a green paper already in Parliament that people would see where the policy was going from the green paper. Let's look at the court rulings, and then once the court rulings are not at odds with any of our policy intent, we move forward.
But as far as the executive arm of the government is concerned, of course, you're piloting this particular aspect or area of it, sir. What are you hoping for in the near term?
Well, we have already moved to increase beach access. I think when I can send you after through your producer the drawings for the Negril Beach Bar, the drawings for the Prairie Beach, the drawings for the Pachi Beach, the drawings for Portland, right? We will be building out beach parks. Yeah. We will be protecting access ways for communities that had access to beaches before. If they never had access to an area, either because of geography or lack of interest, there's no need to protect access to something that no one had access to before, if you understand what I'm saying.
Understood,
the public also needs to understand that there are areas now that weren't natural beaches before, meaning where persons have invested millions of US dollars in coastal engineering to build beaches by putting in grinds, sand traps, importing sand in some cases from other places. That wasn't a beach that the public had. Someone made an investment and created a beach. So you have to also look at it in a very nuanced way to determine, which access points you maintain. But the fundamental goal of our policy, the fundamental goal of our investment, the fundamental goal of our discussion this morning is to make it very clear we will be increasing the access of Jamaicans to quality beaches, and we're doing so already. It is not something that we're promising. We've started with the Harmony Beach Park. We're going through the varying stages of procurement and project development on several others.
Minister, only
we've already done some fishing. I'll come back another time.
Only because of time. We're completely and totally out of time. I got the signal.
We catch up another time.
We don't want you to throw us out of the studio this morning, Minister, but very interesting discussion. Grateful for your for all that you have indicated to us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Minister, and thank you, Minister. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Jane Bank, anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jane Bank is
7:31.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Febreze. Imagine getting home after a long day and it smells so amazing that it makes you smile. Try Febreze Plugs, an air freshener that delivers continuous scent for up to 50 days when you plug it in low mode. Indulge in wonderful scents for weeks with Febreze.
La, 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 la. Elevate every moment naturally with Chaland Wines, the exquisite non-alcohol sparkling wines from France. Chaland non-alcohol wines deliver elegance in every sip. Perfect for toasting at any gathering. Everyone can join in, from grown-ups to the little ones. With a range of flavors, Chaland Wines add a touch of style to every occasion. Find them at all leading supermarkets and wholesales island-wide. Pop the cork on a natural kind of celebration. Chaland Wines, distributed by Harbour Wines and Spirits, a division of Grace Kennedy Limited.
Welcome back. You're tuned into the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in Loop Jamaica News, Integrity Commission submits 3 investigation reports, rulings to Parliament. We have here in the Jamaica Gleaner, KSAMC targets cleanup as country inches into hurricane season. We have in the Jamaica Observer, Reggae Boys cruise past Guatemala in World Cup qualifier. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read for some of the feedback from our Facebook or YouTube and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on the controversy over public access to our beaches? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
What a grand on campus. Young
On the next Campus Connection, we will focus on fathers in education. Fathers play a significant role in education, and their involvement can have a positive impact on children's academic and personal development. Join us with guests Dr. Mark Smith, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, and Mr. Ricardo Allen, CEO and founder of One-on-One Educational Services Limited, as they give their input on the topic, along with information about the new AI lesson plan generator. You don't want to miss our special interview with Mr. Oren Herdit, President of the UWI Mona Math Club, as he shares about the Skills Optimization Challenge SOC. That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, June 10 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station Love 101.
News are going on from campus. Come on, tell me what one. Campus connection, take a data one down. Hey. Have to be a man, got to be a man.
On the next episode of The Mailbox, we'll be doing our pre-Father's Day show. Father's Day is a special day to honor and celebrate fathers, father figures, and paternal bonds. It's a time to express gratitude to fathers in your life, celebrate their role, and spend quality time doing what they like. You are invited to join the conversation with our guests, Elder Dennis Morrison and Elder Alfred MacDonald from Marvelly Gospel Hall in St. Andrew. That's Wednesday, June 11 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station, Love 101, the Mailbox, Monday.
How they got man them there? No matter what they look and it's on them there. So Lord, we can
More than a father, more than a king.
This Father's Day, let your word speak love. Love 101 FM invites you to be part of Pages for My Father, a celebration of the quiet strength, faith, and presence of our dads. Simply send us a letter 100 words or less about your father in a WhatsApp message or a 1-minute voice note. We may read or play it on air as we honor fathers across Jamaica. Submit now to our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125 as we celebrate fathers with love. Be sure to put Pages for My Father as the heading so we can easily identify. Then listen for the feature during Love in the Morning, Morning Express, and Alive. Then on Father's Day, Sunday, June 15, throughout the day, and see if yours made the cut. Pages for My Father. Let's celebrate the great men in our lives. We're doing it on the family station, Love 101.
Don't give up on your hopes and your dreams is what he tells us. To be grateful and kind is what he's shown us. I rise to give you glory.
Feel the soul-stirring power of music that speaks to the heart. Introducing gospel recording artist Evangelist Shernet Wilson, a voice of inspiration carrying the gospel with passion, purpose, and praise. With every note, Evangelist Shernet Wilson brings a timeless message of hope, faith, and redemption, wrapped in melodies that will lift your spirit and inspire your soul. Don't miss her album Still I Rise, available on all digital platforms. It's more than music, it's a movement of faith. Let the gospel music touch your heart. Evangelist Shernet Wilson, spreading the gospel, one song at a time.
Listen this Thursday, June 12 at 10:15 a.m. for Intro with Evangelist Shernet Wilson. She'll talk about her music. We'll get to hear her songs. Don't you miss it.
I rise to give you glory.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Well, let us join Jakal in case. Do we have any responses to our feedback question? What are your thoughts on the controversy over public access to our beaches? Well, apparently none as yet. We move right into the second watch. Now, since taking office on the 20th day of January, in this year of our Lord 2025, United States President Donald J. Trump has declared and implemented several policies. What have been the effect, or what has been the effect of some of these policies? We have as our guest this morning to look at this very interesting topic, Danae Peart. Danae Peart, Executive Director for Emory Nielsdale and National-led Clinic Change Maker, writer, cultural curator. media and business consultant and host. On Vibe 105 FM, we also have Sean Bird, founder Concerned Christian Coalition for a Health Society, an attorney and managing director, Grenville Radio Limited, and speaker Sean Bird, Dene Peart. Good morning.
Good morning, Stokeley.
Good morning, Stokeley. Good morning.
Good morning to you both. Well, first of all, is U.S. President Donald Trump a good negotiator? I'm sure why every time we talk about President Donald Trump, issues such as this arise. Is he a good negotiator? Is he a good deal maker? I don't know. Sean Bird, what's happening here?
I'm not sure that he's doing anything outside of what we know him to be. What we should have had any different expectations than what is actually taking place. I don't think we know he's not the traditional politician, and we know that he is thinking outside the box. I think I'm a little alarmed at the way people are uh, surprised at some of the things that he's doing. I think all he's doing is implementing what he said he would do. With regards to negotiation, I think those who have been in business school studies or those who are CEOs, of large companies, etc., would say that President Donald Trump, is applying business principles to this. So he's not coming from a traditional political, uh, what we would consider traditional political negotiating skills. He's more using business principles to move things along. Everything that he does has to benefit the United States economically and financially. That's how he's thinking. I'm not seeing anything different. So, for everybody to be surprised, yeah, I'm not surprised.
You know, there's a lot of talk about the ending the war in Ukraine between Ukraine and Russia, ending the tensions, the war between Israel and Gaza, if I could refer to Gaza in that manner, and the whole matter of deportations, ICE raids, the current situation in California with the riots, if I could call them riots. Some people say that they're peaceful protests. And there is a whole artificial intelligence side of things that, many of us probably are not hearing that much about, but it's taking place. Dene, your thoughts? There are just so many things happening in the U.S. right now under the current president. Your thoughts?
So I think the first thing for me is that he's not a negotiator. He is a marketer, and he is good at escalating issues to create a situation that he can solve, and thus, look favorable to his party and his supporters. So, I hear the conversation from Sean on a business principle applied to what he's doing, but he's running a country, and I will never, yield to the idea that a business person applying business principles would be good.
I'm sorry, Dene Peart. Sometimes I don't know, there's a sound on the line. It sounds almost like a kind of scratching kind of sound.
Yeah, is it still there?
Actually, I'm not hearing it now. Continue.
Okay, I don't
Continue.
know. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so I would say that he is good at escalating a situation, and we're seeing that with the supposed riots, the protests in Los Angeles. He escalated. He sent in National Guards that were not asked for. He sent in army that was not asked for. We're seeing that he's not a good negotiator with tariffs. With tariffs, he flip-flopped actually on a number of instances, especially with China. He went tit for tat with China, went hard with China, and then had to, pull back, as it is seen that it is not prudent to really fight with China, because the U.S. only represents 10% of China's trade market. They can go elsewhere. And so I don't know that it would be fair to describe him as a good negotiator.
Okay. So in terms of persons who are not originally from the U.S. who are living in the U.S., such as Jamaicans and other Caribbean persons, etc. Sean Bird, well,
Mhm.
we're up on a break already, so we'll take that on the other side of the break. But I just want your views in terms of how persons from the Caribbean might be reacting to him. But listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back with the Morning Watch.
The time by Grace Good Move is
7:45.
The loan frenzy is on with Infinity Co-op Credit Unions. Fund your possibilities loan promotion with zero to low processing fees, up to 240 months to repay, and competitive interest rates. You can borrow using a secured or unsecured loan to fund your dreams. Dream it, fund it, live it with Infinity, where possibilities are endless. Visit infinitycuja.com or call 876-926-6973 for more details. Conditions apply.
Attention, Jamaica. Fenty Beauty has arrived. Now available exclusively at Fontana Waterloo and Fontana Montego Bay. Join us in store to find your perfect foundation and skincare routine with Fenty Beauty and Fenty Skin today.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
See so you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is: does President Trump flip, flop, or negotiate? Questioning his modus operandi. Our guests are Danae Peart and Sean Bird. I'll emphasize that Mr. Bird is from Antigua. Now, in terms of President Donald Trump, Sean Bird, you were about to continue to make a point, but then we had to head to the break. Please continue.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's my internet on this side.
We're hearing you. We're hearing you.
But okay, all right. Well, first of all, United States consumes 60% of the global goods. So based on that, when that was brought to my attention, I realized, oh, that's the weight that he's using in order with any trade within the global environment. Every single country that Donald Trump has raised the tariffs to has come and in some way negotiated with him. So he has used the strength of the United States, 60% of the trade that global trade that they're consuming, to his advantage. That tells me somehow he did that. And if you look back in history, he has been talking about tariffs, etc., throughout the years. With regards to immigration, when I'm conservative and I'm right of center. When the Germany allowed the Syrians to come in, you saw a shift in the dynamics of what was happening in Syria and in Europe. I began to speak about this, and people looking from a humanitarian point of view. It's like I'm in the United States, and I'm gonna, a Caribbean person goes up for position. Automatically, I'm going to gravitate towards the Caribbean person to give them the nod. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of how they go about the policies, but I believe immigration is important. I'm going to talk about Antigua and Barbuda. We here in Antigua and Barbuda probably have 40% of our population is not from Antigua and Barbuda. So we rely a lot on a lot of people coming into Antigua and Barbuda. However, immigration is important with regards to your local culture and the way that you look about it. I am of the opinion that despite the way that Trump has gone about it, he's not surprising me. I coined a phrase, your life is your resume. I'm yet to see anything that he has done that he is surprising me about. The fact is that he's changing the global dynamics. Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, says has mentioned the point, also the European Union, that since Donald Trump has come in here, there has been a shift in the global agenda and in the way that things have been going about. Whether you like him or not, this is not about whether we like him or not, because people are very strong whether it's left or right. I'm in no way liberal. I'm not liberal one single bit. I believe in nationalism. I believe in free trade. And I believe in the protection of your borders. However, how you go about it is always something that we need to address. And I think that how he's going about it, while it may not be acceptable to a lot of people, you can't tell me that you have that amount of people in Los Angeles and you're going to be carrying on in that manner, regardless of whether you accept it or not. There's an immigration lawyer who spoke about the numbers and what was illegally in terms of what came into the United States. But what he did say is that despite the infractions, and I think he may have had some Caribbean heritage, that they're murdering them in the courts in terms of getting people off. Now, you might not want to go through that problem. Trump is a divisive figure. He's always going to evoke strong emotions, even when he was on that TV program, whatever you might call it. I can't remember whatever you call it. I think that the way that he's going about stuff, I don't necessarily think he's the best person when it comes to the Iran problem, the Middle East problem, the Ukraine problem. I'm not sure with regards to negotiating. I think he's a businessman, and the way he's going about it is using the strength of the consumer market in the United States to push the agenda forward. And to me, until I'm proven wrong, looks like he's getting through with a majority of the things. Because one of the things that you do is that you shoot for the moon and you might get the stars. And that has been the thing. So he asks you for 100%, but really what he's looking for realistically is 30 or 40. And it seems to be getting a lot of that through.
Before I bring back in the Napier, I want to ask you this question, Sean Bird. Your thoughts on whether current or former closeness to Elon Musk. And we know that when it comes to Elon Musk, a businessman as well, but a lot of the businesses that he's involved in involve a lot of technology, high technology, artificial intelligence, the thought of having chips in the brain, that sort of thing. Do you find it a little bit disconcerting, or it's nothing to see?
Of course, listen, if you've been around these individuals, which I have been, these guys are full of ego, they're full of self, and they think that everybody can be bought. And they look to demonstrate that. When he first came on the scene, I said, Elon Musk, you got to be kidding me. My first interaction was that an older couple who showed me during the Obama administration, showed me the chip that they had in their wrist for when they went for Obamacare, etc. And then is when I realized that this technology is real. So the idea, and this has been building. Let me say something also, Stokeley. My thinking is always premised with biblical alignment. That's my thinking. I don't believe in anything that represents a secularist approach to a lot of these things. Let me make that absolutely clear. So I am at odds with a lot of different people. I divorce myself from emotion and recognize that the times that we are in have already been foretold, that these things are going to be happening with regards to the different, whether it be Matthew 24, whether it be Luke 21 or Mark 13. It's happening. Everything is happening right now. Even in the Middle East, when you're looking at Israel, this war, it's a Psalm 83. So there is nothing that is happening now that is taking me by surprise. The problem is that we have not been teaching it or bringing it forward to the people, so the people don't know. But with regards to what is happening, pride, confrontation, trying to prove your point, riches, the whole lot.
I want to bring back in the Napier because as time is going, I never enough time in the morning. What another thing I find concerning is the whole matter of what they call real ID. which is being implemented or being discussed or spoken about on right now under Christy Nome, who is also part of the administration. But of course, not enough time to go through everything here on the Morning Watch. Danae Peart, the whole matter of Jamaicans in the U.S., or the Caribbean people in the U.S. as well, in terms of how they're responding or reacting to President Trump. Your thoughts, because you have indicated that he is running a country, he's not running a business. Danae Peart.
Yeah, I think there are a few issues that impact Jamaicans and Caribbean people, anybody who lives abroad, that will play out during this administration. I'm sure they're significantly distracted by what is happening as it relates to immigration, because those who are non-status are definitely at risk and definitely should be concerned. Some people are self-deporting, and that might be wise for them to do, because as we can see, there is escalation. His great advisor, Stephen Miller, has asked that ICE escalate and try to do, I don't know what happened there, and try to do 3,000 deportations a day. So those who are non-status should be concerned. The other thing I think people should be concerned about is the cost of food, the cost of living. One of the things that Trump ran on was that on day one, he would reduce prices. Well, tariffs are a tax, and they are not reducing prices. As a matter of fact, Walmart CEO says, I can't avoid increasing prices. And we're seeing that simple things like bananas, that should have a 10% tariff, are already having an 8% increase in prices. So there are different things that are impacting, Caribbean folk. Anybody who is, foreign born living in America will be experiencing this, not to mention the stress of it all, because I find that Trump is very much an erratic leader, very much chaotic in his approach. So there's very little stability. If somebody plays in the stock market, for example, if you're not a big player in the stock market, this is a very unstable time to be in the stock market, because only those who can play against a gain or loss and still win, only those people are benefiting. Those who are watching, what does Donald Trump say that impacts the market, that is impacting people's 401k, that is impacting people's, little game in stocks. They're not big players. So there are so many pieces that could impact individuals as we watch this person who, rightly is not a traditional leader, that's for sure, but is also not as, witty as we think. He's very much a good marketer, though, and he will tell a good story. Even in the breakup with him and Elon, he's telling a great story.
Well, okay, so you're saying that you're saying essentially that there are things that he's doing which is causing instability.
Yes.
All right. So, in terms of the way both of you, how would both of you look at things going forward for the U.S.? Because many people may not realize it, but he has not been the president for 1 year yet since he came back as president. So, where do both of you see things going for the next, for the rest of his term? Starting with you, Sean Bird, and then you, Danae Peart, in a couple of seconds. Sean Bird.
Hard to say. I think, Donald is, who knows the way that Donald is going to go. But I look at his track record, and I think that he's one of those individuals that he plays to his base. And what has happened, he's going to satisfy his base with regards to what he's doing. You look back at his history. In fact, some of the articles he's even brought out in the newspapers in the past and so on. He's true to his word. He's doing what it is. So it's not a matter that we don't know what we're getting. We knew what we were getting.
I think I was a little bit surprised at the whole artificial intelligence angle, but realizing
nothing, because I saw that guy there, Elon Musk, do something with artificial intelligence. Kit it down. Do some stupidness with it, whatever the case may be.
I know that I'm cutting in, but I want to bring in Danae Peart for a final thought. Never enough time in the morning. Watch Danae Peart.
Yeah, I agree that whatever he's doing is fairly predictable in terms of the personality that is Trump. He is a cult of personality on his own. I think that what will happen is a lot of people don't know that there are legal cases against multiple decisions that he has announced, multiple executive orders that are outside of his wheelhouse that he's been doing. And so what will happen, I expect and predict, will be that there will be a slowing down of some of this erratic behavior. This happened in his first term as well. His first go at presidency, he went hard and erratic in the first year, and then people lost their jobs, in his administration and so on. So
I'm getting a signal, Danae Pierce. I want to hear the rest of it. We're getting a signal. We're completely out of time. I want to
No
thank
problem.
both of you, Danae Pierce and Sean Burr, for being with us in the second watch. A very interesting conversation. And thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit our YouTube channel and Facebook page and now TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica. And listen to us by downloading our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the number one gospel station in Jamaica, Love 101 FM. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. Join me tomorrow as I look at other issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing back Love in the Morning with Jokal.
Time is now 8 a.m. on the family station. I do hope that you enjoyed the conversations inside the Morning Watch. Coming up next is Forward in Faith, brought to you by the New Testament Church of God.